How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to be talking about the global release for Naruto x Boruto Ninja Tribes and giving my thoughts on it and why I think it's something that we might not get in the near future. And this is very well inspired off of the tweet that I saw on Twitter that I actually retweeted, where an account reached out to the developers of Ninja Tribes and they asked about the global release, and we're giving some disappointing news about it not really being something right now, just because of the fact that it's not doing as well as they definitely want right now. They wanted to do better before something like that happens, and this tweet could very well not be 100% accurate. I'm not saying that you should take this at fact, and we could very well, who knows, even get like the release next week as a part of the second part of the anniversary for all we know. Anything could happen. But it got me thinking, and I want to give my thoughts on why I think even if this isn't 100% proof, because we don't know, we didn't see any screenshots or anything, I still think that it makes sense. And I even said that on Twitter, because there are a lot of things about Ninja Tribes that in my opinion holds it down, and it's a very interesting story because Ninja Tribes has a lot of things supporting it. It has mainstream companies like Crunchyroll supporting it, advertising it constantly, and it's the game that they advertise most of all when it comes to Naruto. And it's also the newest Naruto game out. It's only at its first anniversary. It's the newest one out that's getting constantly worked on from 2020 moving on into 2021, and it's a very interesting story of Ninja Tribes. So I'm going to be comparing it a lot to a game that I have a lot of experience with, 3 years of experience with, and that's going to be Naruto Blazing. Now I know it's not fair to compare the two, they're very different games, but because I have a lot of experience with that game, and this is an opinion based video talking about why I feel like the global release and this game aren't something that's going to be coming in the near future because of how it's performing, I do need to call back to something that, you know, tugs on my heartstrings a little bit. So when it comes to Blazing, I've never been shy to say that I think that game was one of the most free-to-play friendly games of all time when it came to gacha games. Just because, well, first of all, it was my first ever gacha game. I never really played a gacha game before Naruto Blazing, and I got into it because it was Naruto. That's mostly the reason that I play Tribes as well. But coming from a background where I played games like Call of Duty that were filled with supply drops at that time and filled with microtransactions and everything of that nature, I detested those things. I hated those things in video games. I think they still have no place in them. But with gacha games, it's a little bit different because they're free to play. So how could I get into a game like that with that type of style when I don't like those things? Well, like I said, it being a Naruto game played a large part in that, but also Blazing was free to play in so many ways. It really was. And this is something that can't really be debated. As I said, I was a YouTuber on it for almost 3 years. I spent money on it right before I started making videos on it just out of fun, and I'd already been playing a year before that completely free to play as well. And I excelled on the game for almost 3 years, making videos every single day pretty much, doing every single banner I could except for the PvP ones because I didn't play PvP out of choice. And I got every single anniversary, every single event character in the game except for characters here and there, and you can see that as represented in my box. So that game spoiled me. It did. When you look at the shop in this game, I do think that this is one of the problems for Ninja Tribes. A lot of people are under the misconception, and I'm also at fault for this, that this game is extremely pay to play. And I was guilty of that when the game first came out. As I said, I was at fault for that, and I definitely do regret that now, but the game has changed a lot since it first came out as well, so I'm not exactly 100% to blame for that. But I do think this game has progressed a lot better. I do think it's free to play in a lot of ways, but I do still think it suffers from some negative practices that the game performs. Like just these right here are very predatory in my opinion, and I feel like this is what turns a lot of people off. So why this game isn't succeeding in my opinion, one of the ways is because I feel like a lot of people look at it in a negative light. Like I said, I used to be at fault at this, and I wish people would give it more of a chance because yes, these things are all here, but this is something that Blazing had as well. But again, the worst thing that Blazing did monetary wise was probably either taking step ups away, which is something that's actually pretty common around gacha games, but I'll get into that, is that the worst thing Blazing did was offer a Pearl Pack with tickets without giving you a way to do challenges. And again, the only reason this was a problem is because they had previously done it where you could get tickets from a challenge. Now this game does give you challenges at times that do allow you to get tickets. I'm assuming going into the next week of the anniversary they will do that, but this game only gives you tickets. It doesn't even come with any shinobi coins, and that right there is a red flag. Even when Blazing's worst thing, the worst sin they committed monetary wise, was giving you a ticket in a pack, they still gave you pearls so you could summon as well. The fact that this game makes it where you have a chance to buy stamina with money. Now with Blazing, you could buy a pearl and you could use the pearl, but even then, that was only $1 for one pearl, and nobody got stamina that way. Nobody did that. But the fact that they even advertise it right here as you can buy stamina and stuff of that nature, they even have a system based off of this somewhat. It's just, it gives the impression that this game just wants your money, and I feel like that's what turns a lot of people away. I really do. Again, calling back to Blazing, it was a very free-to-play game. It definitely spoiled a lot of us. I feel like a lot of us are spoiled because that game gave us everything, man. It gave you step-ups. You could literally pull a unit on the 3rd step, guaranteed. And that's unheard of in most gacha games. Even 7 Deadly Sins, which gives you a lot of free-to-play value with free banners that are full of just the tickets they give you. This game doesn't do that necessarily, but Blazing just, it felt different, man. It did. Like, the step-ups were something that I feel like people took for granted. Like I said, 3 steps, and you could pull something guaranteed from the Blazing Bash or Blazing Fest. That's crazy. And most of the time they even also included the featured unit in that guaranteed pull on the 6th step or the 5th step, for instance. That's unheard of. So I feel like a lot of games don't have that. Of course, Blazing had that in particular, but this game has such a mainstream background. Like I said, Crunchyroll supporting it, them making even a new ad for it not too long ago. It's just like, how can this game be doing worse than a game that was a lot more underground? Blazing's community was a lot more present than Tribes, and I think that's because of the YouTube presence. Blazing had so many big YouTubers just making videos on it and supporting it, whereas this game doesn't really have too many. And also, the community, as great as it is for Tribes, that a lot of people don't know about, it's a lot more low-key. Now, even though Blazing was an underground game and it wasn't supported as mainstream by like companies, as I said, Crunchyroll and stuff, the community was definitely thriving a lot more. Going back to the shop, Blazing had something that was so remarkable that I didn't see in any other game ever. To my knowledge, I've never seen something like this, and it still blows me away. So Blazing had, of course, a shop for currency. Now there are other gacha games, now that I think about it. There have been others. I think some Dragon Ball ones, they did do this for it. But again, this was the first gacha game I was playing, so to me this was remarkable. There were people in the community for Blazing that had their own little black markets on Twitter or what have you, and you could buy the currency for cheaper. Now, whether that's illegal or not, I don't think that's something that Tribe should do, definitely, because it's a more mainstream. But the fact that people in that community went out of their ways to get you a better deal just because they actually wanted you to spend money on the game to go ahead and buy these things, it just shows the love for that game. People loved it so much that they wanted you to succeed and they wanted to help you out. In this game, nobody's going around incentivizing you to buy this, and it makes sense. But the fact that that game had that just shows the levels of love and support that the community did have. I mean, even when things happen like people cheating in the PvP for that game, they went and we all banded together to get them banned. But with that said, the Tribes community is still amazing. There's a lot of amazing people in this community that give Blazing's community a run for its money at times because they're so kind-hearted and generous. But again, it's such a low presence, and I feel like that's why Tribes is struggling. Game has a lot of things that is upfront in your face, showing that it's not as free to play, and that turns a lot of people away. And as I said, I've had that misconception before, and I wish people would give it more of a chance because this game can be fun once you get the ropes of it, and if you get past a lot of the things that we're used to, as in the respect to Blazing, you can have a lot of fun on it. But as for my take, I think this is why the game is suffering a lot and why it's probably not gonna get a global release anytime soon, because the community is pretty low. As I said, if you go look at the Facebook campaigns that this game pushes out, they never reach their like goal ever. Now, Blazing's Facebook wasn't where it thrived either. That's definitely on Twitter, but even the Twitter side of Ninja Tribes is not as prominent as Blazing's was. So I definitely think that that's why this game is suffering a lot. Again, this wasn't meant to be a negative type of video. These are just my opinions, and I definitely do think that a global release is not anywhere in the near future until more people jump into this game and it gets more love and more updates and things of that nature, because a lot of people do give this game bad credit. I see so many comments of people just don't like this game, and that's fair enough. but it's not even entirely their fault, because this game pushes a lot of things in your face that does turn you off, but at the same time it's got so much greater to it if you look under that and you look past it and you just jump in and have fun. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. These are my thoughts. I hope y'all enjoyed this and found it you know, a little informative. If you guys think that this game is cool, then let me know. I'm really want to hear your thoughts about this, because I feel like there's not enough people out there that like the game as compared to don't like it, and I want to see that change. But yeah, that's gonna take care of it. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.